welcome to Humanities, episode 29, where we will be all over the sausage. What's this one about? What is it about? Pat, what's it about?
What's it about? Is this the gravy on the sausage in the Yorkshire pudding of life?
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about what's the episode about?
No, fuck you, I want some pudding now. I'm hungry now. This episode is about not video games.
Because we haven't chatted properly since the last episode.
Nah, we've been busy, haven't we?
Really,
so
we were focused on sort of souls and stuff. So we kind of have non-game stuff that we were going to talk about and game stuff that we were going to talk about. But we thought we'd kind of divvy them up. So this one's going to be a non-game thing. Do you have Woodward? Hey.
Mind blown, out the back of the head, all over the floor.
That's, as the kids would say, that's on fleek.
Oh.
I didn't know what that was. I heard it for the first time about a week ago because my friend Natasha's said that her sister said it to her, and I was like, how are you spelling that? Is it F-L-I-Q-U-E? And
like
then I realised later I was probably like discoteching it up a little bit, and she was like, "No, my sister's a chav." So, but I was playing the Division. Oh, we're talking about games. Oh no, I was playing the Division the other day, and you picked up a phone call, and it was these two girls that were talking about a pop band that they like, and the sort of title of this recording was On Fleek, and I was like, how is it that I've not even heard of this until a week ago, and now it's in one of the staple eye to thumb diets that I have.
Is this like are you having your moment where you're like, am I out of touch? Because like I saw like people use the word lit all the time now, and I don't get it.
No, I heard a worse one at work, and I don't know if I can mention it.
Go on, just give me the word. No context. Just give me the word.
No, seriously, I can't. It
Why not?
It was teenagers that said it, and it is mortally offensive. It is a variation on something that I think is incredibly offensive. But this same.
I tell you what. Right, say it. But what I'll do is I'll bleep this bit.
No,
go
right.
on, please. I really want to know.
Well, I'll
go on, please.
No, because I don't trust you.
I'll bleep it. I swear to God, I'll bleep it.
No, I'll pop it in the Skype chat.
Type it in the Skype chat. Do it now.
So right, this is good radio, right? So I'm there, and I'm this lass and her friends have kind of paid for the drinks and stuff, and I'm making coffee, and I'd hand this. I'm sure it was some sort of flavoured snow and something off to this lass, and she just looks at her friend. She was like, "Come on, then." I'm sorry. This is really terrible radio. And if you DM us, we might let you know. But I've never heard that in my life. And it was as if sort of. Have you seen Superman the movie? The first one. There's a bit where Lex Luthor goes, "Superman, only you can hear this," and like everything just like blurs out, and all he can hear is Lex Luthor's voice. Well, it was like that, but an entire coffee shop blurred out to me, and my head went, "What?"
Oh,
it was just bizarre.
Oh, it hurts.
I know. I've never heard or seen that before.
Oh, I'm actually leaking water from my eyes now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is either the best or completely not the best. But you can see why I can't really say that.
You can't say that on the radio. Like even in a joke way, that's not cool.
But teenagers are.
Yeah. Like, I can't process words anymore.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm just looking at it as well.
So we'll start this off. I'm going to throw the ball over to you because I think at the start of all of this, I know it's bizarre, isn't it? Anyway, at the start of this, I think you had seen something on, was it the Rebellion site, that there was going to be a massive super chunk of discount off 2000 AD stuff, and you are a big fan of 2000 AD. Tell me why you like 2000 AD.
Okay.
And tell me kind of why you chose the things you chose, and what you bought, and what prices.
That's good, because I have written the notes I've written, where I've written the names of the things that I wanted to talk about. These are all in the notes, so this is wow.
This is good.
I might even edit this later. I don't know. Like
I know other podcasts that we've been on have like Bonfireside Chat. Those lads are proper professionals. Ken and Rince, lovely people, super planning.
Mate, when I went on Sound of Play, I wrote 5 full pages of notes.
What?
Pages.
You've not wrote 5 full pages of notes since this podcast started.
That's what I said on the show.
I didn't listen to it, obviously.
No, thanks, pal. Listen to it in 3 months, like I do with your episodes.
What? My episode was quality.
It was eventually.
I remember we spoke about that, and I'm really, really proud of the stuff that you've done, and you that I put on, and you were like, yeah, listen to that song. It was a bit busy. You were like full on grandma mode. Like, not back in my day when we had the swinging doo-woppers. Just Berry.
You young kids and your hip hop. Should we get back on topic?
What? This is the topic.
Cool.
This is the topic of the show. What we do.
Right. So I like comics a lot, yo. And a lot of what got me into comics was when I was a wee nipper. I didn't get a lot of comics. I used to get like the Beano and sometimes the Dandy. I didn't really have an allegiance. I'd just pick whichever one was there at the time. But I never really bought comics. You know, like your Spider-Man, your Batman, yada yada. I never got into that properly. But what I did get into, when I was about 11, maybe, my mum started working at the local library, where she still works now. So that's almost 20 years she's been working there. Jesus.
That was almost like you were addressing me, but also doing an exclamation on the sheer amount of time.
Yeah, it's double dipping. It's two words. So anyway, I obviously would go in there and meet mum after work. I'd take my little sister down once we'd been at Nan's house for the night, and sort of meet mum after work. And I'd usually mooch around the library for a bit. Used to pooch her and take home like Discworld books to read, that sort of thing. But I wandered over to the graphic novel section, not the comic section, the graphic novel section, which is what they call it there. And I remember this vividly. The very first thing that I picked up to take home and read was a Judge Dredd, purely because I looked at the cover and it looked cool. It was Judge Dredd, and it was the collected edition of Blockmania and the Apocalypse War, which is, in terms of a place to start with Dredd, that's a really, really good place to start.
What, a dense place to start, or just a good story in particular?
It's a banging story.
And why was it a good story?
Yeah, it is. It's a banging, like really, really good story. And it was. Obviously, now I've gone back and read my Dredd later. It occurred about the 5th year of the comic, give or take a little bit. About the 5th year of the comic, so they had a bit of time to get established. They'd learned the character. They got over some of the. When something starts and the first kind of year of it, or the first season, is always a little bit shaky. And then by the sort of 2nd or 3rd year, they've worked it out and they know what works for the character, and they've got rid of some of the weird ideas. By 5, they by the 5th year, Dredd was pretty much nailed down. And what the Blockmania / Apocalypse War did was have a real go at like a proper event in the comic, like a real. They'd done a couple of things before, the Cursed Earth saga, where they trek across the Cursed Earth, which is like radiation hellhole. And the day the law died, where an insane Judge Caligula, takes over the city and starts doing crazy stuff, and the whole city rises up against him. That was cool. But Apocalypse War takes it that next step further. It's like Dredd does World War III. It's very, very obviously America versus Russia. I mean, let's not beat about the bush. They fight the Sov bloc. And so it kicks off. The Blockmania part at the start is it starts a simple thing with someone dropping an ice cream on a lady's head. You know how most wars are always triggered by something stupid. An ice cream.
Not this one.
Her name is Melda Dreep, if I'm remembering properly. And the ice cream drops on her head. A 2-cred freezy whip. And it pisses her off, and she goes back to the next neighbourhood watch meeting. And they're all sitting there, and she gets up and she says, "I propose a block war." Now, in obviously Judge Dredd, people live in city blocks. They live in big blocks full of thousands and thousands of people. And tensions rise, and sometimes block wars happen when one block hates another block. This block being Dan Tanner block, named after, I think he might be an actor. I don't know. I've never actually looked at it. But everyone's kind of, there's an undercurrent of violence there, and like, you know, before you know it, the whole city is like sprawled in a giant war, and the judges don't know what's going on. A lot of the judges kind of give up their, you know, they abandon their posts to join in the wars. Like, shit gets weird. Like, shit gets real. The entire city's thrown into chaos. Like, no one knows what's going on. There's just fighting everywhere. Dredd's in the middle of it all, just sort of trying to keep sane. It's really good. Like, it's proper good Judge Dredd, Mega City 1 foibles. Really, really good. And as the sort of the plot unfolds, the sort of a devious plot is unfurled, masterminded by the Sov block and the wonderfully named Orlok the Assassin, who's the coolest guy, and he's got the coolest scar on his lip. He's so fucking cool. So the block, the conspiracy unravels. There's a wonderful fight drawn by Brian Bolland, top artist.
Awesome.
Bolland, yeah, of Dredd and Orlok fighting in the middle of a rainstorm with a flood kind of flooding down like a roadway towards them, and then sort of punching each other out of the water, and one gets choked down underneath, and then a fist will fly up and knock the other one out. It's really, really well done fight. And Blockmania ends with Orlok captured, telling them all that it's too late, you can't stop it, the war's already begun. And then here comes the Russians! Because in fullness of time, the idea was to weaken Mega City 1 so they could take it over. And I'm going to stop explaining the story there, because I feel like I've already explained too much, and it is a really, really, really good read. There is a couple of moments in that book which are among some of the best that Dredd's ever had. Like, proper fist in the air, fucking come on son moments.
Yeah.
My favourite of which is a Judge Fear one from a book before, where Judge Fear is the dark judge who has a little cage on his face, and he opens the gate and he says, "Gaze in the face of fear," and anyone who looks at his face dies. So he grabs Dredd and he does the "gaze in the face of fear" thing, and the line is something like, "Fear's gaze will kill any ordinary men, but Dredd is no ordinary man." And he says, "Gaze into the fist of Dredd," and punches his fist through his helmet.
Oh, man.
It is a crowning
Oh,
moment.
I remember seeing that. That's a really famous piece, isn't it?
It's the crowning moment of fuck you. You can get it on t-shirts and everything. Like, it is the best panel of any comic I've ever seen. It is like, you just put the book down, just, come on, son, that's what I'm talking about. But Pockets War is full of those. And being a little nipper, being 11, like a small boy, yeah, I was like, this is crazy, like what's going on here. And it was really, really like well drawn. It's Carlos Esquera did all of the art for the Apocalypse War segment of it. A good 25, 30 progs in a row, which is a massive undertaking, like huge, huge amount of work. But it sort of lit the fire under me, like, oh, this is really good. And I kind of dipped in and out here and there with what I could take from the library over the next couple of years, and just kind of let it drift away a bit after a while, because you know how things do. You get into different stuff, you know, you go to uni, you go to college, you just start getting into different things, you know, and you drift away from things like this. And then it was around, oh god, must have been about 3-4 years ago now. I've got a couple of Dredd books at home. The Emerald Isle one I bought a while ago in particular was a good laugh, which is Dredd Goes to Ireland. Which because we were talking about that because Garth Ennis was on Scroobius Pip's podcast, and I'm not a fan of Garth Ennis's work, I must admit. It's just not my thing. But he was such a lovely man, and it was such a great podcast. I mean, I like Scroobius Pip's Distraction Pieces podcast anyway. It's fantastic. And if you like your comics, there are, your Garth Ennis, Warren Ellis, all that kind of stuff, as well as your movie stars and your telly stars and stuff. But he came across really, really well in that, and completely unlike I'd imagined he was. I imagined he'd be quite full on and quite intense, like an Alan Moore type character. But he was just really softly spoken, really laid back. He was lovely. You wouldn't expect that, not from reading everything he's ever written. But some of his Dredd stuff's really good as well. Like, there's some of that in some of the later books I've picked up recently, and there's some good stuff in there. Really get into the nitty gritty of, like, you know, the world, that sort of thing. But yeah, a few years ago, it was drawn to my attention that they were putting out the Case Files books, which were, as I said, the collection, each year of Judge Dredd, all of it in one go, and that quite appealed to me because I quite like reading things complete.
Was that a couple of years ago now?
Oh, it was a few years. Like the first one was out a good 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago now. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
What was that thing that you recommended to me? Because I'm sure that was only about a year and a bit ago. Where you could subscribe to it and you got.
Oh, okay, that's different. That is the Judge Dredd Mega Collection, which is
that's what got.
It's a more curated version of that, where they pick out like the best stories and kind of clump them together.
Yeah,
it's like the first book contained the entire of the America storyline with all the kind of subsequent follow-ups, which was kind of cool. And it's one of the only things that doesn't show up in the case files, would you believe? So it's nice to have that for completion. But the case files themselves are literally from prog 1 to prog 50 in a book, all the Dredd in order, and that really appealed to me. Like I'm like, because I want to see all of it. I love the nitty gritty, and just started picking them up. I sort of picked up one and really really liked it, and sort of started recognizing bits that I'd read before. And I got to book 5, like, oh, this is the Apocalypse War. Oh my god! Sat there and devoured that in a single sitting, if I remember rightly, because they're not insignificant. They're big books. Like they're really 300 pages. They're chunky books. I'm up to about 20 of those now. There's a lovely rainbow smear of Dredd on one of my shelves now.
That's cool.
And it's
always
really,
nice when you get spines that join together like that.
Oh, they've done such a good job. Like it's kind of just the colours just kind of shift in and out, and like there's 10 colours to a block, and then on book 11 it starts again with red and yellow, and like they've done the same colours going through. It's very pleasing to the eye. And the books do get thinner because the coloured paper is thinner, but like it's very very pleasing to the eye. But yeah, I've since been kind of picking up odd things around that because I picked up, what was that I picked up? It was a 2000 AD kind of like best of sampler type book. It was like, 30 years of 2000 AD, check it out. And I had lots of like odd little progs here and there of things like, obviously you've got your Dredd in there, you've got a bit of your Ballad of Halo Jones, you've got Strontium Dog, you've got Rogue Trooper, there's dozens of things.
Both of which I would add were in... Strontium Dog and Rogue Trooper were in Star-Lord, which was my favourite as a blighter.
That it were.
Which you bought me an annual of for my birthday last year.
I did, with the squid on the cover, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Good squid. Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. But I've read through that and I kind of thought actually a lot of these are quite, because I'd only really read Dredd to that point. I thought, well, that looks actually like it might be quite interesting. So I think I then started getting Strontium Dog. Because that was the big other one that I'd always wanted to give a go. And again, like case file books, here's the whole lot 1 year at a time in order. Like, oh, well, fuck, of course I'm going to buy that. Fast forward a few years, and I now have 2 full shelves of bookshelf full of just 2000 AD. Like,
oh, wow.
The rest of my Batman does not take up that much space. My Marvel isn't even a 10th of the 2000 AD I've got now. Like, I didn't think I was that big a fan until I looked at it and thought, maybe I am. And I look at my Marvel now, I'm like, don't really want to read that. Dredd though, I know what's going on, I'll read that instead. And then, no, carry on.
Do you still pick up like the comics today? I mean, because I presume like the magazine and stuff is still going.
Oh, still going strong. Yeah, I follow 2000 AD on Twitter, and they are wonderful on Twitter.
Oh, I didn't know if you picked it up like weekly.
Yeah, I don't buy single issues of things. I just don't have the disposable income, and not many shops around here sell them, which is a bit annoying. Even my nearest Big Smiths doesn't carry it, and it's like it should carry it. It's 2000 AD.
You see, I mean, comics wise, when I was a kid, like lived in a small village, and they used to get like block stacks of DC stuff. So often you might not be able to get the next issue from the one that you've just read, because it might not be in the big bundle that came in.
Oh, okay.
But I used to buy loads and loads of DC, as well as like British staples like Beano, Dandy, Beezer, all that kind of stuff. I just loved sort of reading. And then at Christmas, that's where I get Marvel stuff. So in annuals. But so that's where I got to.
Yeah.
I fell in love with Silver Surfer at that point.
Oh, okay.
Silver Surfer. It was because I got lots of reprints that were like Kirby stuff, and there was some Ditko Spider-Man annuals that I got as well, which were great. With Spider-Man in Eastern Europe, which is fantastic. Which was a story. They seem to be touching into this a little bit in the last Spider-Man movies, but he went to Eastern Europe to try and clear his parents' name because it said they were traitors to America, and he didn't know any of his surroundings and stuff. There were people coming out to kill him. He eventually got knocked into a sewer. There's a really famous picture that was on the cover of the annual, Spider-Man sort of moving through the sewer, and eventually the person that was there was the Red Skull. So it was sort of Spider-Man versus the Red Skull was really unusual, and there was a big fight with this Red Skull having this chair that shot sort of lasers out of it and stuff, and he got these cards that were his parents' documents and details of how they'd been working in Russia and stuff. And as this big fire engulfed the place towards the end, the cards started burning, and it was like a false cover, and his parents' true details were inside. He was spot on, but yeah, that was. I forget the context where I interjected that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of picked out a lot of my kind of comics that I would pick up here and there. Was what I picked up from the library. The graphic novels I picked up, so I'd be picking up like you were doing, like odd ones here and there of middle of a story, book 3. I don't even remember. I'm sure there was a graphic novel version of what I think might have been The Dark Tower at the time.
Okay.
So I remember it being a cowboy and being weird, and I feel like it was Stephen King, but I cannot find it anywhere.
Yeah, but I'm sure the first graphic novel version of the Dark Tower was the Marvel Jai Lee one. That wasn't when. Maybe.
I mean, this was stunning art. This was really good, like painted art as well.
Oh,
like,
it might have been. Yeah, it might have been Jai Lee then. He was very talented.
Maybe so. Yeah, but like the library for me was like where I got everything from. The odd ones here and there. I got the odd Sandman out of there, that sort of thing. I was reading what I could.
It would have been the same time as Sandman. I forget that.
Oh, must have been. Yeah, must have been. But yeah, I used to pick it up, and like I said, I just having recently got into it, my shelves are now absolutely stuffed, which leads us to the current day. And what you so well hinted at earlier. Basically, 2000 AD were 39 years old. A few weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's scary when you think about it. Like that's quite a lot of time. And
no, that can't be right.
39 years old.
No,
it's 40 Zarjaz years in February next year.
No, no, that can't be right.
Yeah, no, it's definitely right. They keep asking me to sign up on Twitter. I'm like, I might do that.
I presume if they're saying it officially, then it's true. Maybe me just. Doubting years. Doubting all the years.
But I digest.
That's good to know.
Thanks. So Rebellion, the guys that publish a lot of their books online, decided to have a 50% sale off all physical media. All of it. The comics, the graphic novels, the toys, the shirts, everything. And I think it was just over the weekend, Friday or Sunday, and when you see it, you think, there was a lot I wanted to pick up, and I did want to get that, and that, and that, and that. So I'll just have a little look, and I'll maybe pick up one or two. And 80 quid later.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How much worth did you get?
Well, would you like the list?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll give you the list of stuff that I was going to pick up anyway, and then I'll give you the list of stuff that I was coerced into. Okay. So, firstly, the next Dredd book I needed, Dredd Case Files 21, which covers the Wilderlands storyline, mostly, where Dredd gets stranded on an alien planet with Chief Judge Magruder, who's gone a bit mad, and some Mechanismo robots that he tried to get banned, but he got found out that he lied about the robots and was being sent to Titan. And it kind of dips into the story of why the robots have gone a bit weird and what's wrong with Magruder, and it gets a bit sort of very personal, even though they're on an alien planet trying not to get eaten. It's a good story. And again, it's a very good Dredd story. It shows him just being the hard man and taking the hard path whenever he can. Like it's a good story. I've really enjoyed it. I've just finished it last night actually. Proper good. Cool. I picked up the next one I wanted to pick up was Dredd Restricted Files number 2. Of which I have 1, 3, and 4 already. Restricted files are all the extra stuff that you tend to get in the annuals, and like the specials. So the stuff you would find in your annuals, that sort of thing. Weird stories where Dredd is a Bobby, like an actual English policeman. There was one which was like a Carry On film.
Okay.
And Dredd was Sid James.
That is very, very weird.
And Barbara Windsor as Judge Anderson, and she's got her judge outfit kind of just popped off. It was funny. It was a good
different times.
Different times. Oh, honestly, different times. But that was cool. So I've got those two. Again, I'm picking these up for anywhere between I think £6 to £10 each. Is what I paid for all of these. Next on stuff I knew I was going to get, Nemesis the Warlock.
I never got into Nemesis.
See, now I read the first prog or two of that in my big collected book that I got, and it looked so weird. Like, I've got to try it. Like, because I didn't even know what it was until I'd seen the picture of Nemesis the Warlock himself, but I thought it was a car. I didn't realise that was the guy. And I haven't touched, like I said, I've not reread a lot of these yet because I've still got this giant pile to work through, so I'm gently working my way through. But, like, it always seemed mad. And, like, for £7 for the first book, I'm like, well, that's worth £7. You know? And it's called Nemesis the Warlock. What a great name. So did you try it before then? Have you encountered it before?
I know Nemesis because there was a game on the Commodore 64 which was quite well regarded at the time, but again I didn't enjoy it. But I didn't. It was one of those where, like Slain, I didn't quite click with it. It was one of those that was a little left to centre. And whilst I grew up on the left of centre that was in Star-Lord with ABC Warriors and all that kind of stuff, I just never quite click with that stuff. It was quite
okay. I remember borrowing a Slain book from the library actually and being really confused because there were kind of like Viking dicks in it and being like, what? What is this now? This isn't how comics work.
So I read sort of a little bit, but mainly there were lots of really unusual bits around at the same time as 2000 AD. You get like horror anthologies and also there were a lot of summer specials and like war annuals that would come out at Christmas as well. So you get stories from from the war, like war fiction, put in annuals, and I think it was similar stuff to that which would appear in these summer specials like Commando, which were, for our American listeners, I think the DC Comics writer and somebody that you have a connection to recently with is it the Lansdale stuff? Chuck Dixon is a really big fan of like these old war stories, the old Commando compendiums. They put them together now. But there used to be these little sort of tiny, little probably almost about 2/3 of the size of a comic size, but really thick, and they used to tell like massive war stories of people fighting in Africa or fighting the Germans or fighting the Japanese and stuff.
I've actually got a couple of those, the collected ones upstairs. They're brilliant. They've got such good names like the Deadly Dozen.
Yeah, and the covers were amazing. I'm sure it was the guy that did the covers must have been the same guy that did the covers for like Airfix model kits back then and stuff. But they were pretty much all you could get on holiday would be those and kind of the sort of British comedy comics like your Beano, Topper, Dandy, the little summer specials, which were the same size, and they were all racked because they weren't that much taller than postcards, and they were always racked in those postcards kind of racks. So I associate with reading a story about a group of people fighting the Germans in the desert with being on the beach, making a sandcastle, and then it was just one and the same. I just loved reading, and the sort of fiction that I read it wasn't as if I had like I knew I loved superheroes, but it wasn't as if I had a massive preference over like superheroes or war stories or funny stuff. I just loved reading comics.
A good comic is a good comic regardless. I completely agree. Yeah. That was good Foley.
Thanks. I have coffee.
So do you know what else I bought?
Go on.
Right.
List me, broth.
Number 4. You mentioned it earlier. Actually, I picked up the first book of Robusters.
Okay.
The thing that will become ABC Warriors eventually, I think. It's lovely, kind of. It's not the same as the other 2000 AD collected versions. It's not a paperback. It's a hardcover as well, and it's a little bit bigger. And it's got this just huge towering art on the front. This really kind of bold colour as well. And again, I've read just like one or two bits here or there, and the ABC Warriors were a thing that I always thought looked cool, but wasn't really sure where to start with because it's quite involved.
Is it something like Hammerstein and Roadjaws?
That's something like that.
Yeah. They're my boys.
So I think it started as Roadbusters, and then it becomes ABC Warriors later. I think.
Yeah. I think it was Roadbusters when I used to read it, and that must have been a Star-Lord reprint then.
Must have been, and then maybe when it moved to 2000 AD, maybe then it became ABC Warriors. That's cool. I'm fine with that. And like I say, I've had a quick flick through the art on that. It looks proper fun. Like sort of, they're on like suicide missions, and if they fail, they get destroyed. So they've got to succeed all their missions. It's fun, you know. It looks neat.
You're making me a bit pretty dewy-eyed at this point because I've got some nostalgia coming up as well. So shame on you.
I know. I try. So yeah, Robusters. Not read it yet. Looks good. Continuing the robot theme. Book 1 of Robo Hunter.
Okay.
Of Sam Slade, Robo Hunter.
Well, this rings a bell. Who's the writer on this?
A guy. I really don't know.
I've seen through your preparations.
Probably John Wagner because he wrote everything back then. I'm not sure actually. I'll get back to you on that one. But I read again the first issue and it was like it showed him being like a really old guy, being sent out to deal with some bad guys on some robots that had uprisen. He's like, "There's only one of me. I'm past my prime. What are you doing? I'm going out here to die." But they go through like a time warp on the way there. And he comes out sort of 30 years younger, kind of prime, fit of his life. But his pilot has also de-aged 30 years and is now a baby child. So it's him and his baby child pilot, who is angry at being a baby child, running around shooting up a load of robots.
That sounds good to me.
Just really good. And it's like the first one is like, the name's Sam Slade, and that's spelled Slayed to you. Which is great. I love 2000 AD captions. Like they're just so good.
Yeah, but rather than coming across as cheesy, it was just big and brash and British and glorious and celebratory.
Yeah. My all-time favourite 2000 AD line, the one that makes me laugh every time, is there's a rogue. It's a Dredge story, and a lawmaster that one of the bikes has gone completely rogue and is firing randomly. And the caption on the top was, "It takes either an extremely lucky shot or an extremely accurate one to disable a lawmaster. Dread's shot is accurate."
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. It's proper good writing on that. So yeah, Robo Hunter again looks fun. Moving on, one of the last of the old ones, book 2 of Rogue Trooper.
Okay.
One that I only got Rogue Trooper book 1 around Christmas time. Really dug it. Like the whole future war thing. Like the idea of the lone GI and the personalities in his helmet and his dead buddies are on chips in his hat and his gun and his bag. And they're starting to develop their own quirks and foibles now, and it's becoming a real sort of almost like a buddy comedy in a way. Goon Squad go sort problems out, and there's been some really good ideas in it as well. Really good writing, really sort of smart ideas. Just the kind of war between the evil Naughts and the good Southers. Yeah, the Naughts are really evil and are not the Russians and Nazis combined. Honest in space, honest. It's cool, and I like the idea of Blue Trooper guy. Right, I said last old one. This is actually the last old one. After watching the 2000 AD ABCs on YouTube, where they've been taking. In like alphabetical order, every single one of their properties, and doing a 2-minute video explaining what it is and where you can get it and where you should start.
Cool. I'll take a look at that.
They're really good, actually. They're really entertaining. May I present to you the complete Al's Baby?
Okay.
Right, Al's Baby. I'm going to sum it up. So Al is a gangster, a mobster, a 20s geezer. You know the kind. Big pinstripe suit, hat, gun. Don't take no lip from nobody. Chin you could break rocks on. And he has married the daughter of the boss of his Don, and his Don wants a grandchild, but the daughter, no, she doesn't want a grandchild. Yeah, she doesn't want to have the kid. She doesn't want to have to be pregnant because it will ruin her singing career. She doesn't want to do it, and the Don starts leaning on Al. So Al decides, after seeing that they've done the first male baby operation, decides to to become pregnant and have the baby, to please the Don. So this big monster guy gets hella preggo.
Uh-huh.
And then kind of the story flips back and forward, like he's taking out hits while he's kind of pregnant and kind of stomping around and having morning sickness everywhere. Someone tries to sort of hit him while he's having the baby. This axe kind of thuds in next to his head, and his Uncle Sal is his cohort, who becomes uncle to the baby over the course of it. Sort of leaps over the top of the delivery room and kind of shoots him out like that. It's quite fun. And then when the kid's born, he takes the kid out and hits with him. 18 months old, and the kid blows up a boat full of other gangsters. A body count of 9, and he's 18 months old. I think the follow-up line was, "If that isn't a record, I don't know what is." It's really fun, and it's John Wagner and Carlos Esquerra again. So the art's really kind of gritty and crunchy, and the writing's really sharp as well. It's just fun. Like, it's not a serious book; it's a silly book. But it's a really fun read. And the cover is a really good pastiche of that Demi Moore shot when she was pregnant and naked and sort of stood there holding herself. It's like that, but he's got a gun instead. Not his cock, the gun.
It sounds like one of those things where it sounds like a modern day idea more than anything. Do you know what I mean?
What was the film with Arnie in it that did that? Was it Arnie?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking it just sounds like something that isn't a product of its time that would have been done sort of back then. It's quite weird.
It fits really well, and it's actually set in the year 2014. Would you believe? Which is like that's not how 2014 works.
That's the future.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Hang on a moment. That's not right.
Hold on a minute.
So then I picked up a couple of more recent books as well, because they're putting out new stuff as well. It's not just the old stuff. They're doing a lot of good new stuff at the moment. What I did is I signed up to the 2000 AD Thrill Mail, which is their newsletter. When you do that, they send you an email which has approximately 460 pages worth of comic trials to try out.
What?
It's amazing, and there's a mix of like some classic stuff. So you've got your classic Dredd, it's got Halo Jones, it's got Nikolai Dante in there. Like, it's got a real like 6 or 7 older ones, and then it's got another stack of like 6 or 7 newer comics to try out as well. Both of the next ones I picked based on the strength of those. Firstly, Absalom, a tale about a kind of a police force that deals with supernatural entities. But the leader of this force, Absalom himself, is a very old. You know when I say like an old cop?
Yeah.
Grizzled, balding, dealing with cancer as well. So he's kind of gradually dying as it goes on, but absolutely tough as old boots. It's all done in black and white as well. I've only read like first 3 pages of it, but it really kind of sets the scene. You know how Hellboy kind of has that sort of otherworldly kind of super squad theme to it. It's that sort of feeling in places. Or BRPD actually is the best analogy I can think of, which is like the Hellboy's kind of police procedural spin-off in a way. This is like that, but set in kind of gritty London with grumpy people and these big homunculus dudes that kind of just stand there and don't really talk. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's a good book. Again, based on the strength of the 2000 AD ABCs. Just for reference as well, they've got about 20 of those out now, and they're still on B.
Bumming heck.
It's bad, man. It's stupid. And the last thing I picked up then, which is, let me find the real title, because the real title for this is actually brilliant. Fill for time for me for a second.
Do 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 do. Me and you grow moustaches. We are on Fleek.
Okay, I got it. Good Phil. I picked up a cowboy book called The Grievous Journey of Ichabod Azrael and the Dead Left in His Wake.
That's a good title.
It's a brilliant title. It's about a grumpy cowboy man who gets shot and killed, but decides not to get on the boat to kind of cross the river to hell. He decides to sort of step out of the line and get revenge, I think. I've only read. I'm really doing a good job selling these. I've read the first few pages and it looked cool. But all the real world stuff is colour, and then when he dies, it goes to black and white. So any real world stuff you'll see in the book is the colour stuff, and the black and white is all the dead world stuff. It's really clever. It's really well done, actually. And it seems to be a fairly self-contained story, which I like. And yeah, it looks neat, and the art's really good as well. Like really kind of scrappy lines. It looks rough around the edges. So yeah, 9 comics total, totaling £80. bloody bargain, I thought.
A rather sexy haul, I think.
I think I did rather well there.
And your good lady said, yes, that will be a thing that arrives in this house.
Well, I did it, and then she came and I said, yeah, they had a sale on, I might have spent a bit of money. She went, how much? I went, about 80 quid, and she just looked at me and I got 9 books, it's all stuff we were going to get, and it's cheaper than if we got it later, and she still kind of didn't really approve. But they're here now, so it doesn't matter.
Does Laura read any of them?
She actually has read quite a lot of The Dread. After we saw the recent film with Carl Urban in the cinema, because I'm sat there kind of like nerding out like an absolute mark. Like, oh my god, there's a chopper graffiti on the wall. Laura, that's a thing, that's a reference. And she went back after seeing the film and started reading some of the old books and really got into it. And we were getting Judge Anderson's the one we're getting now because of that. So she really likes the Judge Anderson stuff, the sort of more kind of psychic weird stuff. It's great, like, you know, she's really kind of into it as well. She's not read quite up to date as I am, but we can talk about it now. And she likes the kind of more stories about the city rather than the judges. She likes the ones that kind of focus more on the citizens.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and it's great because we can totally nerd out about it, and I don't feel quite so bad about having a giant wall of comics. So yeah, I bought a lot of comics. Oh, I bought one more before this, which I should have waited because I could have got it for 7 quid and I paid 20, but it doesn't matter. I picked up The Ballad of Halo Jones, finally.
Okay.
After
Alan Moore?
Yeah, after about 15 years of wanting to get it. Alan Moore writes, Ian Gibson draws. Stunning book. Stunning. Yeah. It's... You know when you have something hyped up and everyone says it's good for a long time, and you're like, yeah, all right, whatever.
Expectations are like way
yeah, up. People talk about it and you're like, well, I'll watch it later then maybe, you know, and you get into it on your own later. But Halo Jones was that. It was always bigged up as this massive thing. It always turns up on the top 20 graphic novels you should read. And I saw it, I sort of saw it in the flesh. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to treat myself. Go on then, I'll buy that. Oh, it's so good. It follows the story of a girl called Halo Jones, who kind of just an ordinary girl, really, in a kind of future-y kind of world, but just an ordinary girl, and the sort of the routes her life takes her, you know, through the good, through the bad, the ups and the downs. Like, it's a really kind of personal journey, almost, and it doesn't really have a big payoff at the end either. It's just sort of about a normal person. In an abnormal world, and it's like, without wanting to sound like a twat, it's like quite a kind of feminine empowerment sort of book in a way. And I say this wanting to not sound like a twat as much as possible because I really hate those people. But like you see a lot of current comics being praised for their sort of depiction of this sort of thing. Saga, for instance, gets a good rap for this. The Wicked and the Divine as well. You know, a lot of current writers are getting women right. The new Miss Marvel, for instance. But for my money, Halo Jones was doing that years ago. Was doing that exact thing, and it's like this is good. This is like what we get now. Like, this is like good female writing. It's not just strong female character. Doesn't mean female character who is strong. You know, it means a character with depth and with emotion and with, you know, something more to her than I have breasts.
Well, my next question was going to be kind of the, you know, for the story itself hasn't aged, but it sounds like from what you're saying that if anything, it's I don't know, it's come of age rather than
perhaps
grown old.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I would say if I'd have read that when I was younger, I don't think I'd have appreciated it as much as I do now, being more well read. I don't think I'd appreciate it quite as good because it is quite out there. Like, there's a lot of terms thrown around quite willy-nilly at the start, and you do have to pay attention. But being able to sort of, you know, sit down and take the time and read through and, you know, really understand what I'm reading, it's just, yeah, I appreciate what it did, and I think it's probably gone a long way to sort of, you know, helping that sort of writing come through. You know, the fact it shows up all the time on these lists, you know, it's like, it's the sort of thing people say, you like comics, read it, it's good, and it is. It's really good. And maybe it inspired some of that writing, maybe it didn't, I don't know, but yeah, Halo Jones, really, really good.
McSweet.
Oh, I bought The Wicked and the Divine as well for 10 quid for the first 2 books, and that was a fucking steal.
So is it just 2 books then, or is it more than that?
There's more, but I picked up the first 2. I found them both in a comic shop in Southampton. It was £6 each. So I went tenner for the pair, and I went, oh, go on then.
That was nice of it.
Yeah, didn't have to because I was totally willing to pay 12. But I was like, yeah, okay, 10 quid, why not? And they're brilliant. 12 gods are reborn once every 90 years. They're famous. They're wonderful. They're adored. They're hated. They're loved. And in 2 years, they're all gone. And this follows that gripping, really, really good story actually. And the art's stunning. The writing's great. A lot of people have already got on this bandwagon. I'm quite late to it, but it's good. It's good, man. Wicked and Divine.
Marvelous.
Yeah. And I think after
How
saying,
many of those have you actually read at this point?
okay, I've read The Wicked and the Divine. I've read Halo Jones. I've read Dread 21. I'm working on Al's Baby at the moment. And I've kind of tickled into a couple of the other ones, but not really read a lot because I've been very busy. You know, my life has become rather busy over the last few weeks.
Check you out.
Yes. Actual legit promotion at work. Come on,
In the
son.
house one time.
Like a bouse. And I've only slightly gone mad with power. Do you know how I told Laura? I threw bread at her.
What?
Because I'm the breadwinner now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I told her I was going to do it weeks ago. And she said, yeah, whatever. And then I did it. And she still looked at me, but she sort of went, oh, you got your job then. Oh.
This is serendipitous for me to tell you to shut up, because now it's time for me to speak.
Yes, please say the words, because my mouth has stopped having liquid in it. Go.
Right, so, strange... What? Don't interrupt me with your reading.
That was a legit joke, sorry.
Was it?
A little bit of a joke.
What? It sounded like you were just comedically interrupting.
No, it really wasn't.
So yeah, you've got your 2000 ED haul. I had sort of a little bit of a delve into the past as well, because I don't know, when I was a kid, like I say, I read DC Comics. The tales from kind of ancient Greece and Egypt and stuff were still superhero comics to me. Fables and legends, science fiction. I'd escaped from my childhood into drawing, painting, playing, whatever it might be. And one of my massive connections to Souls is the Ray Harryhausen movies, which I used to love to pieces when I was a kid. And interestingly, because I remember seeing like a number of these on the cinema as a kid, but I also used to see the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man films. And there was a Spider-Man TV show that was, I presume they just edited and put films out as well. And in the same way as Power Rangers does it these days, it was actually a Japanese TV show that they used to add American Peter Parker stuff to.
Okay.
And I used to watch those on TV. And as I've kind of gotten into Tokusatsu, I found that in Japan they were going to do a Captain America series, bizarrely enough. And at the last minute they changed their mind and that became Super Sentai. So Power Rangers actually came from them developing a Captain America TV series.
That's
cool.
Actually.
So yeah, I thought it was pretty neat. A nice little sort of through line between sort of some of the stuff that I loved as a kid. But yeah, I was looking for, like, I used to be such a big movie fan. Like a number of years ago, one of the things that I did for a living, I used to write about world cinema. But I can look through Netflix and like Now TV and stuff now, and I can get tired just going through the list.
Mate, I know exactly what you mean.
I can just flick through and just go, nope. And I was going through Now TV, and I saw Sinbad and the Golden Fleece was on there, and I was like, I'm so up for this. So it was like, I've got like a couch duvet, so I just like pulled that across myself, got a little bag of hula hoops, and just sort of sat there giggling like a little one, and started watching it. And it is the first Harryhausen I've watched since I was younger.
Would you say that you were on Golden Fleek?
Yes, I would. So yeah, it was. The performances were really, really good. I mean, it's about Sinbad having this vision and going to this strange island where he meets this man in a golden mask, and he eventually he's looking for this this slave girl that's got sort of an eye drawn on her hand in a very Guillermo del Toro kind of way, and there's this villain that's trying to reach this. It's something like this paradise pool where he will like take over the world and stuff. And like I said, the performances were really good, but it is white men putting on foreign voices. And whilst they are doing Arabian voices, they're really not that much of a hop, skip, and a jump away from if they were just doing stock European voices. It's all like, "Oh, Sinbad, you have joined us today." But the villain of the piece is Tom Baker.
Hey?
Yeah, and he's ace, like in this massive turban, and he's fantastic. But yeah, it goes on, and like Sinbad sort of puts this team together of he's paid money to take this layabout of a rich man's son with him. He takes this slave girl with the eye drawn on her hand, and they put together this team that will sail across and try and sort of stop this event happening. And like Tom Baker's got this amazing kind of purple winged monkey, which is which sounds like a euphemism, I know.
That is a euphemism and a half.
It's all Harryhausen stop motion animation. It's incredible. And there's a sequence early on where they find out that kind of this gargoyle type thing is watching them, and there's this like little chase sequence where it's like going around a table and then behind like a fireplace, and they're trying to pull things out to get to it. And you think of how difficult that must have been back then, because I saw a documentary a while ago, and they said something like that they'd film a scene, like if he was doing like a monster feature like a King Kong or something, he'd film a scene and then he'd project it onto a plate of glass, and then he'd take the stop motion animation that he'd done, and there'd be a second plate of glass behind that, which he'd then send a projector out to from behind, and then he would film both of those together. So, and you know, that even considering the amount of effort it must have been to, you know, move it a little bit, take a pic, move it a little bit, take a pic, the amount of personality that came through in these things, and a lot of it just looked better than modern day CGI. It just looked really, really great. And there was one bit which was very of its time, where they were on board this ship, and somebody comes into the slave girl's cabin, and he says, "I see it is very tidy. You have all the traits of a woman." What? Wow. So that was bizarre, but the whole thing was ace. And so afterwards, the guy that's in the golden mask just looks like he's wearing Mask of the Father from Dark Souls, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I did a search on Amazon afterwards. Let me get this thing behind me. I got a Blu-ray collection, which is The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, and Jason and the Argonauts. Ooh. So, but the cool thing is, I was looking at the extras on the back. So these are all like Blu-ray transfers and stuff. Well, like Jason and the Argonauts, audio commentary by film historian Tony Dalton, audio commentary by director Peter Jackson, and visual effects artist Randall William Cook. Original skeleton fight storyboards that Harryhausen legacy.
Is that the one with the skeleton fight? That is the classic. Yeah. Skeleton.
Oh yeah. That's my connection to 4-1 of Demon Souls as well, because I obsessed about the movie like completely. But yeah.
Oh, there's your Dark Souls. Your Dark Souls way you shouldn't go at the start of the game, isn't it?
Yes, there is that as well. Yeah.
You fucked up, son.
So yeah, there's it says original skeleton fight storyboards, the Harryhausen legacy featurette, Ray Harryhausen interviewed by director John Landis, and then the Harryhausen Chronicles documentary narrated by Leonard Nimoy. Which was like, okay. So then it goes on to like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and it says audio commentary with Ray Harryhausen. So he's a commentary with Ray Harryhausen over his own movie.
Nice.
Visual effects experts Phil Tippett, legend. Randall William Cook, author Stephen Smith, and Arnold Kuna. And yeah, there's a thing on Bernard Herrmann, the guy that did the soundtrack for it. And when I looked up online, he'd done lots of stuff with Billie Holiday and like really like big epic films, but he wasn't afraid to do this little quirky kind of family piece as well. So there was loads of stuff like that, and then I got Clash of the Titans.
Okay.
The 1980s one, and I didn't know if I was getting the 2 or the 1 disc version, but it was only like £5.99. So yeah, I'll have some of that, and it's got the Medusa on the back as well with the bow and arrow, which I remember.
Oh, nice.
I also got, and I'd seen this on US Netflix, but the Blu-ray was really cheap. It was like £8. It's a documentary called Ray Harryhausen, Special Effects Titan. It says the remarkable career of the movie industry's most admired and influential special effects author, the legendary Ray Harryhausen, is the subject of Giles Penzo's definitive documentary. Leaving no doubt as to Harryhausen's seminal influence on modern-day special effects, the documentary features enlightening and entertaining interviews with the man himself, Randy Cook, Peter Jackson, Nick Park, Phil Tippett, Terry Gilliam, Dennis Muren, John Landis, Guillermo del Toro, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, and many more.
Well, that's a bunch of people that I want to hear talk about this.
Yeah, and it says these filmmakers who today push the boundaries of special effects movie making pay tribute to the father of stop-motion animation in films such as The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, It Came from Beneath the Sea, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Mysterious Island, which is something that I saw on Amazon, which I really quite fancy, Jason and the Argonauts, and The Golden Voyage of Sinbad. These films enthralled them as children and inspired them to be filmmakers in their own right. And then it says, like, special features. Interviews with Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Peter Lord, Rick Baker, 12 interview outtakes with Joe Dante, John Lasseter, Nick Park, and more. And this stuff on the sets of Sinbad, a Q&A with the filmmakers. There's just loads on there, and it was like £8.
You know, man.
So yeah, Tim Burton's on there as well. Yeah, so double up for that. But after I'd watched, like I say, I just finished doing that, and I jumped onto Amazon to get those, and then on Now TV it's got the more like this section. So I was like, all right, let's see what's there. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
What?
Yeah, based on the Jules Verne novel.
Okay.
It's the tale of there were ships that were being sunk off the coast of, I think it's somewhere like Singapore, and everybody thinks that there's a sea monster, but it's actually this technological submarine called the Nautilus that's captained by Nemo, a man that wants to stop these vessels of war getting to the mainland. And it's phenomenal. The effects are amazing. I saw this thing on the cinema when I was a kid and didn't realise that the film came out in 1954.
Really?
I must have seen it on the cinema in like a school holiday or something. Because they were thinking, oh, you know, submarines and monsters and stuff. Kids will be all over that. But yeah, there's a dark tone to it. The Nautilus is just Bioshock as fuck. It's incredible, the design work inside of it. Like I say, the effects all through it are amazing. And there's this noise when you hear the Nautilus going towards one of the boats, and you can see this lime green light sort of the deck, sort of as it's going under the water. The water's just pushing across it, and it's doing this like as it's getting like closer. It's amazing.
Good
but
Foley.
you've got the contrast of James Mason, who's very, very serious and has got this incredible dialogue as Captain Nemo, and Kirk Douglas as this square-jawed all-American hero. And even though there is that kind of somber tone at times, you've still got a song and dance routine between Kirk Douglas and a sea lion.
Of course.
Which is just awesome.
Of course.
Yeah. Just start singing in the sea lion, like, oh, 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 and like, yeah, it was like, this is great. I love stuff that can zigzag like that. But yeah, like I say, the design works is sumptuous. The Nautilus is easy to explore with the eyes. You know, you're looking all over the place because there's such attention to detail. And it really didn't make me sort of eager to jump back into Rapture with the Bioshock stuff. But
I love that when they put the effort into like making a set or anything. It's not just a box like.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And some of the dialogue. There was one line where Nemo sent Kirk Douglas onto this island, and it was like a test of trust. He basically told him not to go anywhere and not to venture into the centre of the island because they're cannibals. And Kirk Douglas thinks that he's just joking him that he can get off this island, and there are cannibals on it. And Nemo says something like, "No matter whether a man is truthful or whether he lies, they all taste the same to them," or something like that. The actual wordplay was far better than that. But it was just like one of those things where you just kind of giggle to yourself and you go, "Oh, it's ace." So yeah, I watched that. Then I found Journey to the Centre of the Earth, which isn't so good. It's another Harryhausen flick. And the stuff that I've seen of it is pretty atrocious. Flat out the worst Scottish accents you will ever see. Like literally, they must have cast solid Americans with one Scottish man who stands out like a sore thumb. And you know they eventually head off to I think it's Iceland or something, where again it's all Americans that are putting on foreign accents, bar about one person. And they head down into the heart of the volcano. The chief criminal in this is there's 50s Tennessee crooner Pat Boone, who plays Alec McEwen.
What?
And this accent, right, is atrocious. It's really, really bad. Every now and again he will do like a bit of a sort of flick in his voice. But it's really poor. But the weird thing is, like, there's a bit between him and sort of like the female lead where you know they daren't confess their love for one another, and they're waiting for these people to arrive at a party. And obviously, like, Pat Boone was sort of quite big in the 50s as a singer, and he sits down to this piano and he was like, "Oh, I'll see if I can lighten the mood." That's probably a better accent than him. And he sits down at this piano and starts playing. And for all the stuff with taking the piss out of like his Scottish accent and stuff, he's just like, "When the moon hits the sky," and you're just like, "Oh, this is lovely." But yeah, I haven't seen sort of into the point where the Harryhausen effects kick in with that one because it was quite late.
Sounds like you had a busy week.
On the recommendation stuff on that one was The Black Hole, which again I haven't seen since I was a kid. The Disney science fiction film. I
know of it. I not think I've ever seen it, but I know of it.
It was another childhood fascination, and at the time it was everywhere in the aftermath of Star Wars. It was on cereal boxes, trading cards. It was quite heavily merchandised, and I realised from watching it that I probably got a few of the toys from it as well. I remember the look of it in particular, like really solemn and dark, mixed with these kind of lava-like oranges and yellows that burst in. Reviews say it's a dull film, but following the "you might like this" train, I was just like, yeah, I'll watch this, and it has aged a little bit.
Sorry, I've just got the image of just like, "You might like this," and a picture of a train.
No, it was another one of those where rather than sort of flicking through films and going, don't know, and trying to coerce myself into stuff, I'm seeing all these things come up and going like, yep, that's going on, absolutely.
Like, do you really want to watch another sort of late 2010s horror film, of which there are about 4 million on Netflix? Like, I had the same thing. I've got Netflix fatigue, something fierce at the moment.
Well, like, the look of the film is incredible, and the opening sequence, I put it on Twitter the other day, but the music's by John Barry, who did the James Bond theme.
Oh, okay.
And the music's just, you go into this sort of opening sequence of lots of vector graphics and stuff to show the future, obviously, and this John Barry piece plays over the top, and he is just gobsmacking. And whilst there's certain bits like a lot of the bigger robots kind of look like they're balancing on strings a wee bit, Some of them they've actually got people inside, move like robots do, and there's something quite eerie about them, something really inhuman. But the film was all right. I entertained me. I don't think it stood the test of time massively, but there's definitely something there. And like I say, the look of it, the design work again, is beautiful.
Nice. Is it all on not Now TV? Is that what it's on?
Now TV's got 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Sinbad and the Golden Fleece, and the Black Hole on it. Yeah.
Oh.
Watch him, because I think you'll get loads out of him. Because we were just talking about like stories from yesteryear with 2000 AD. I think you'll dig some of that stuff. Plus, it's a little bit of a different movie watch as well.
Yeah, because frankly, Netflix has, I would say, gone downhill, but I've seen everything I think I want to see on it now at the moment. You know what I mean?
I mean, it has sent me down a bit of a movie hole, if you will, like, because I enjoyed these films so much. And I used to be such a massive movie buff, and I've fallen away from it so much. To have these films light a fire in me like this, and not just within a degree of nostalgia, but enjoying films more than I've enjoyed films for a long time. It sent me sort of diving into more and more of those Amazon lists, and just looking at stuff and just going like, oh, that sounds good. You know, not even knowing what things are, just like, oh yeah, that sounds good. So yes, but I'll go into a bit of that in a little while.
Okay.
I pass the baton back to you, sir.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to fill with music for like 20 seconds because I need a glass of water. I need to take on fluids.
See what I mean, though? It's really kind of like, cool.
It's really like, yeah, it's exciting.
It's it's shown over all these sort of vector graphics at the start and stuff. And it just sets a tone and sets a scene, and I dig the heck out of that.
Diggage.
Yours. What else you got to tell me then, bro?
Okay. Shall we talk about anime?
Yes, because you've been watching JoJo.
Well, yeah. I've watched two animes in the last few weeks: Samurai Flamenco and JoJo.
Okay.
We'll talk about Sam Flam first. We'll get that done first because I want to finish on JoJo because I have things to say. Samurai Flamenco. Okay, so we had this on Netflix. We were just skipping through the anime section as we do from time to time. More for the name than anything else. Samurai Flamenco. That's a weird name. Go on then. Like, you know, and the screenshots looked kind of fun. It looked a little bit like Kamen Rider, like your Tokusatsu stuff. It looked, you know, Superboy goes and saves the world. Like, cool, yeah, fine, whatever. And we start watching it, and it starts off very different than you think it's going to be. It starts off as of a young man who just really wants to do well and decides to become a superhero, even though he's not very strong and he's not very good at fighting. But he does believe in justice and things being right.
He's got a lot of gusto and a lot of. He's got a lot of heart to him. It doesn't seem like it's something that's. I don't know that he's born to do or anything like that. He just really wants to do the best thing.
It's effort and it's heart, but it's not necessarily ability. Not at first, anyway. And he kind of makes a bit of a name for himself. Does the whole YouTube sensation thing. You know, kind of like Kick-Ass.
I do.
It's a little bit like a nicer anime version of that at the start, at least. You see what I mean? Child puts on suit, goes to fight other guys, gets beaten up all the time, find person who good at fight, show him how to fight, he then fight good. It's the classic montage.
That was really well worded.
Thanks.
You're a poet, sir.
Honestly, I in the last 3 days I've had 13 hours of sleep, so I am in a good position at the moment.
Steady.
I know, right? Hey.
Easy.
You know. What I like about Sam Flam is that while it's kind of, there's light and there's colour and there's dark shades to it as well, but like the overwhelming sort of positivity and like cheerfulness of the show really, really shine through. And like the fact that whenever they introduce themselves, they've got to kind of go harbinger of justice, samurai, Flamenco, and kind of do like his poses with his hands every time he does it, and everyone's got to have an intro.
You see, that's Tokusatsu's fault.
And I knew that, and I'm watching it thinking, this is exactly what you were telling me about.
We've got so many like individual crossovers with this stuff. It's interesting because not only because last time I was wondering sort of how you get on with some of the stuff like Ultraman Gaia and some of the Kamen Rider stuff, and then we're talking essentially cross purposes with like Star-Lord and 2000 AD and the comics we read as kids. So
it's we're almost on the same page.
Yeah, you see, we're dancing with one another, but a distance, a healthy British distance.
We're dancing
so people don't talk
across the seam of the 2-page spread in the middle. But like I was watching, because you haven't watched the whole thing, have you?
No, I've only watched a few eps. I know that my friend Pete, who comes round to watch Japanese telly with me at the weekends, went through all of it and said that there's a tonal shift in the show which really shocked him, but he said it was brilliant.
You should get on it, because like if you're at 4 or 5 episodes in, you are close. Like you are so damn close, and it's really like we banged through it. Like we smashed through it in about a week. Like,
did Laura enjoy it as well?
Laura loved it. Yeah, really liked it. We sat down, we were enjoying it and laughing along at some of the things that are happening on screen as well. Like it's got lots and lots of little sort of, not necessarily jokes, but like moments of fun in it. You know, there's kind of a good bit where there's like 3 or 4 people all trying to be sort of Flamenco Red, as he ends up being called. And they all want to be it. And like, no, I'm the red one. No, I'm the red one. You should be the blue one. No, you're definitely more of a blue. That's what a blue would say.
Yeah.
It's just like, it kind of plays on the idea of the formula of the show, you know, of like the.
Well, that's a Super Sentai thing, isn't it? That red is always the everyman, blue is the one that's a little bit quirky. Yellow could either be a boy or a girl. The pink one is always girl. You know, there are those sort of classic.
You're basically describing them. It's perfect. Like
yeah, it's pretty cool in that regard. There's a just as like a little side bit. People keep every now and again tipping me towards a game called Chaos Squad, I think it's called, and it's already on PC and it's coming to PS4, and it's essentially about these group of people that make a tokusatsu TV show, and it's like a strategy game, like a Disgaea type thing. But
oh god, I know what that's called. Oh yeah. God, what's that called? One second.
Isn't it Chaos Squad?
No, it's not that. Oh god, what's it called? Oh, I'm going spare about this. I know what it's called. Because
I keep looking out for it every now and again, and really have to search for it, and then I go, oh, that's what it's called, and then
Chroma Squad.
Chroma Squad. That's
Chroma Squad. Yeah, it looks rad. Awesome. Like the fact that you have the fights. You have the fights on green screens.
Yeah, and they've got sort of winks to Kamen Rider on there as well, and yeah,
lots of love in that one.
Yeah, I'm just desperate for it to come to,
because Disgaea,
I can play it on.
Disgaea has that, like the pastiche of that in there. It has Prism Rangers who do the same thing.
All right.
And there's one that turns out the red one's the confident one, and the blue one's the kind of the cocky one, and the yellow one's like saving the world with justice. Completely monotone for the whole thing. And I think you can unlock them as a class you can use as well, which is just perfect. Like it's just perfect. But yeah, like going back on Sam Flam, like it's such a happy show. It's a comfortable, happy, nice pair of shoes, and there's a character in it that made Laura spit out her drink. When the name was revealed, because there's a lot of sort of dream sequences and flashbacks and all sorts of stuff. and there's an enemy bad guy, like your typical Super Sentai Power Ranger bad guy. It's basically a house with like a face in the windows carrying a big chain, I think it was, and it's called Domestic Violence Number 1. To which Laura went, "Are there more of them? Is the next one a bungalow or a flat?" Like, it's such a stupid little joke, but it did make us chuckle. Yeah, Sam Flam, it's really good. Get on it, watch it. We can talk about it more. Because I want to talk about the twist, like the tonal shift with you, and I can't sort of ruin it.
I'm gonna interject something that I saw the other day, that Ultraman X, which is my lead into Tokusatsu, has just had it's finished its series, and there's been a big movie that's just come out in Japan over it. And the director of the film has put half-an-hour video on YouTube where he gets a group of kids together and he puts one in a little Ultraman costume and they build a robot out of cardboard boxes, and he shows kids how to do an a Tokusatsu show, how to do an Ultraman show, and where to position the cameras to make themselves look big, and just runs through all this sort of stuff. Sweet as anything. It's amazing.
Ace.
You never ever see that sort of thing, and when I found out, it's like, oh, this is amazing. And it's another one of those aspects that the more I get into this world, the more I love it, because the people that are in it love what they're doing, and I just think you can't ask for more than that. I really love it.
Well, speaking of things you can't ask for more of, then, right? I am angry.
Good segue.
I'm angry at every part of the internet right now.
Okay.
All of you. Anyone listening, I'm angry at you. Why did no one ever tell me that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is this good?
Right.
Why did no one tell me?
Do you not follow Guy Woodward on Twitter?
I think I do.
Nightmare Mode Go?
Yeah.
Right, he's like massive JoJo fan anyway, but he keeps importing the greatest toys from Japan, and every time it arrives, there's this build-up where it's like, oh, it's stuck in customs. Am I going to have to pay any money? And then like you see the boxes arrive, and these toys are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I've seen 5 or 6 episodes, and I think part of that is because when my friend Pete comes over to watch Japanese telly, often we can zigzag a bit. We'll normally finish series, but if there's something big that's coming up, we'll kind of take that in.
Yeah,
instead.
you prioritise, don't you?
And there is a lot of JoJo.
That's a good problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the stuff that I saw was just bonkers. And fucking
well, we're about 3 or 4 episodes in ourselves. Like, we're not far in. Because do you know what, we tried it because of the aforementioned Netflix fatigue. Look at that segue.
Oh yeah, you got Crunchy.
Yeah,
which means you've got access to Ultraman stuff.
I saw it. Yeah, I looked. I thought, oh, which one should I start on? So X is the one you reckon you should start with? Or?
X is the latest one, which is really, really good. Ultraman Gaia is the one that I think you will click with, which is probably 1998.
Okay.
But and in places is a little bit hokey, as you'd imagine.
Of course.
But the effects work and the model work is just astonishing. That's the one I think you'd nerd out over the most.
Yeah.
But,
well, here's the thing I didn't realise, right? Crunchyroll, you can still watch it if you haven't got an account. It will just put adverts in.
Yeah, there is that.
I didn't realise. I thought you had to pay.
You can pay $4.99 a month and support.
Yeah, so I've kind of taken up on the 30-day free trial that there's codes for that in every part of the internet, and like, we're going to try and burn through a fair bit of it, but like, we had a fun.
It's
do you know what we had?
Because there's
sat
loads
there.
to watch.
Yeah, we sat there actually before we started watching and went through the list of all the shows on there, just laughing at some of the titles. And I can't bring any of them to mind now. But you're reading, it's like, oh, so and so forth, oh, People Squad, why do things have to be this way? Like, it's just stupid.
Oh, you mean like the dramas
titles.
or the animes?
The animes mostly.
Because like there's a really funny show, I've kind of mentioned it before, called Switch Girl, which is about this lass that's the kind of beauty queen of the school, and she's looked up to by everybody. But when she gets home, she kind of puts on like these awful knickers and this suede tracksuit, and sits there and watches like terrible shows with her sister, who looks exactly the same, and how a best friend at school sort of knows her really well, and will realise that she will go up to the roof, not to eat a lunch from everybody else and get peace and quiet because she's very prim and proper, but because she wants to do a big trump. It's about when somebody else finds out her secret and sees the two sides of her, but it's somebody that's got two sides of them. Really funny series. The nearest in tone I'd say to it, My Parents Are Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Which My Parents Are Aliens for me is one of the funniest British comedies ever. It gets extra points for being a kids show as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very knowing. It's very funny. And the sort of comedic acting you don't see very often these days. It's really good. But yeah,
I found one of the funny anime titles while we've been talking. Okay, how about this for a show? Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Apparently, it's really good.
Really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
Pete's quite into kind of like the odd horror animes and stuff like that. But he says it's actually a pretty good show.
Do you know what else I want to watch? That I've got on there, Secco Boys.
It rings a bell.
Right, Secco Boys is about a boy band, but they're made of statues of philosophers and Roman emperors.
Yes, I have seen that. It seems very bizarre.
So fucking weird. Like, I need to see it because I need to understand it.
There's one that Pete's been watching, which has been really popular, called Gate. Which is
that's at the very top of the list. Yeah, that comes up.
Yeah, it's about a fantasy world that invades ours. And the interesting thing is they get absolutely fucking annihilated by our army when they come through. But not knowing the threat that's on the other side of it, the army go through to the fantasy land with gunships and tanks and troops and stuff, and try and sort of find out what's going on to force the other the other people back. And to assimilate to a land that's completely alien to them. And Pete says it's absolutely wonderful. It's really, really good.
Oh, okay.
So I've only seen the first episode. It wasn't wonderfully animated, but apparently it does get better.
But yeah, stupid shows. And it's got Space Brothers that I found as well, which I've watched.
Oh, Space Brothers is amazing.
I watched the first episode. I thought it was really, really good ages ago, and I can't remember where I found it, and it kind of vanished. So now I'm happy I've got it again. I think it was on Love Film when we still had that, and it vanished.
You see, Space Brothers was one of those things where it's got a really good theme to the show, and this is one of my problems with Hollywood these days, is that musically, like, they don't do the themes that they used to do anymore, and they certainly don't give them the prominence. Everybody knows the theme to Star Wars or to Superman or to Jaws, but nobody can really tell you the theme to the Avengers or the Fantastic Four. And Space Brothers will do that thing where if there's a massive moment that kicks in, it will go down, 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 like really kick in with like a guitar version, or there might be an emotional moment. They'll go just play it really softly on a piano, or there'll be an acoustic version, and it becomes such a huge colour in the show. Love Space Brothers to pieces, and there's some live action movies, by the way.
Oh wow, sold.
Yeah.
But back to where we started, right?
Yes,
fucking JoJo, man, right? Because what we did, right? I installed it, and I looked through before Laura got home. So I thought, I'll get that installed because we were getting a bit bored of Netflix. We watch a lot of YouTube at the minute, watching wrestling videos on YouTube and Game Grumps, which is fun. But we were kind of running out of things to watch. I thought, I'll download Crunchyroll at last. We'll try it. And I had a quick look and thought, oh, that's mad. I wonder if I should start watching it. No, I'll let Laura pick what we watch this time. I'll let her pick. She picked JoJo. I'm like, fuck, come on.
If there's anything that underlines why you two got married, it's that. Laura might as well have been in a booth on a game show and you outside, and this is
Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
It just holds up a card and it says JoJo, and we go, yeah, we win the money.
What's that? That in America is that? No, Family Feud is Family Fortune.
I think it is still called Mr. and Mrs. out there.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one where you both try and know each other and both bit bad because you don't.
I don't know. Go on, JoJo.
Right, so I didn't know what to expect. I know that it was about stupid poses, and I've seen a gif somewhere of a man rolling a cherry in his tongue. That's all I know of it. And I know the phrase, it was me, Dio. That's all I know. So we start watching it. So within the first 5 minutes of the show, a dog has been kneed in the face super hard.
True. Does the first episode have the amazing startup sequence to the show, or does that kick in with the second episode?
Episode 2.
Yeah, it's an amazing start-up sequence.
Oh my god, I was tripping balls watching that. I was goddamn moon watching that.
Can we also tip the hat to the is it the Yes song that's on at the end?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
That's added to the because we watched this show and we're watching it and it's mad, and then you get to the end and like, is that a Yes?
It's not a spoiler to say that I think the third series is set in Egypt. And the Bangles Walk Like an Egyptian is the theme music to the show.
Oh, dude. Oh, dude.
Yeah, and it's just really kind of cool to see like JoJo type stuff on. It's almost like somebody's made an AMV, and it's just because it could never happen. You see like JoJo madness. It's just like the Bangles is.
I'm not telling Laura that.
Yeah,
I'm keeping that quiet.
We walk like an Egyptian. Probably punches a dog in the face.
Oh,
but anyway,
God.
go on. I'm interrupting.
When Dio
sorry.
jumps out of the carriage when he turns up at the Joe Star mansion for the first time, and he looks at the camera and it kind of goes ching, like all that stuff. We were like giggling and clapping along with, and all the kind of the poses where he's saying, "Oh yes, we can absolutely be friends," and then the camera shifts and he's kind of facing you, going, "I don't like you at all," doing the interior monologue. And the stupid poses, which are just incredible. There've already been quite a few stupid poses. I did like the second episode where it transpires that Dio Brando has been poisoning his foster father and Jojo's actual dad. So Jojo goes into the rough part of town to try and find who's been selling it so he can work out what the antidote is. And he's attacked by three men. Three men attack him. One of them who has a bowler hat that has blades in it. Okay, so this guy who is yet to be named, we will get to that. Hold your tits.
I think I know where you're going with this one, and it is one of my favourite names.
We will get to that. So he flings his bowler hat at JoJo.
It is. I've just looked it up on the net. It is the person I thought you were going to reference.
Yeah,
because obviously you've got Dio.
Yeah,
and then you've got Mr. Robert E.O. Speedwagon.
Mr. Robert E.O. Speedwagon. And do you know why? Because they don't tell you his name until episode 3. So until that point he was Thug with Hat, who is super impressed by the fact that JoJo didn't kick his spine out of his ass, and tells all the other gangsters to stop fighting him because he's such an honourable gentleman. JoJo kicks him in the sternum, and because he doesn't kill him, he's like, "No, this is a good man. We should stop being bad." How does that even work?
Right, we have touched...
And then episode 3, and it just casually says, "My name is Robert E.O. Speedwagon." I just looked at Laura. I couldn't talk.
You see, throughout all of the conversations that we've had tonight, which honestly, to find out that your mind is working this way as well, is life-affirming to me, is that all of the stuff that's going on with films trying to make themselves grim and gritty and relevant, and I just want things that light me up, that make me smile, that are a little bit cheeky, that are a little bit brilliant, that have massive ideas. That's the sort of stuff where I sit down and I'm entertained because I'm transported out of the everyday, and it's doing something a little bit different. And that's the opposite of when you're scrolling through your Netflix and you're just like,
grim show.
Because this is the stuff that just lights a fire in me. Absolutely.
This is why we stopped watching like telly after dinner. Like everything's so grim these days. I mean, the only exception I've probably got is Game of Thrones because I love it. But like everything else, like Walking Dead and like even Daredevil, it's like just too grim to watch with dinner. Like I want to laugh.
And you are.
Hence, Robert E.O. Speedwagon.
It's just fantastic.
I can't quite get over it.
I'm gonna have to watch some more JoJo for the next time we do this because it's been fun to do a Not Games episode as well. I'm digging this a lot.
Oh, tell you the other thing as well. I was pleasantly surprised because before we knew his name, like I pointed out Bowler Hat Guy. It's like I like him. He's a cool guy. I think he might be my favourite because he's got a cool hat and coat. And then he comes out and he's called Robert E.O. Speedwagon.
You've got to
Robert E.O. Speedwagon.
You've got to the stuff where Dio does things with a mask as well.
He does, and that moment where he reaches in through the window and takes off half a man's head. Just half.
Oh, I'm getting JoJo resonance now.
It's amazing. And
all of it's on there.
We looked at each other and went, what just happened?
Yeah, but again, when you're coming back from work, and it almost like it takes away the drudgery of the day when there's something that's that illuminating, I think.
Especially, you know, I mean, me and Laura in particular at the minute, we're both working very hard at the moment. You know, she's her vintage stuff at her store's kicking off really well, and I've got a whole new shop I have to actually manage. That's right, I'm in charge of something. And I get home and I'm kind of like, knackered, you know, tired. And it's nice just to put on a show like that and just be surprised by it. And like, it's what I got. It's why I got into Gurren Lagann. Yeah, because just sit there and just laugh with it because it knows it's stupid.
Well, this is why I think your Crunchyroll subscription will serve you well, sir. I really do.
I need your suggestions, everybody. If I like JoJo and Gurren Lagann, what else should I watch?
Oh, I can throw a few at you instantly.
Oh, nice, cool. We'll do that another time. Cool. Yeah. Okay, I'll throw the baton back at you. Here we go. You caught it with your bum cheeks.
No, I caught it with my teeth. my bum teeth. I remember saying to my mum when I was little, and I think this is one of the reasons why we never got on. I remember saying that, Mum, could you imagine if you pooed out of your mouth and you ate your dinner through your bum, and you had to sit on the table and you had bum teeth and you couldn't see what you were eating.
There was a South Park episode about that.
Was it?
He was, yeah. It was Cartman, and he works it out, and he just kind of goes, yeah, with the poo out of his mouth. Ew. Oh, it's really well. Like the Foley is perfect.
Yes, I'm a little bit further along with the journey that I've been going on. I went into. I did a little bit of writing last week, and I went into HMV, and they got this this massive rack with full of all these Blu-rays by a company called Arrow Video, and they're taking old films and they're putting them into to 1080p and 4K remasters, just putting absolutely shed loads of extras on there, like so many extras you wouldn't believe, and all of the covers to the Blu-rays, they've actually got somebody to paint a film cover. Okay. In the style of if it was like in the 50s, 60s or 70s. They've painted a brand new film cover. They've not used the photo one or one from previous. They've done something new with it. And there's a mixture of like foreign and Italian and Japanese films you might not have heard of. They've got Big Trouble in Little China's on there, Rollerballs on there, Foxy Brown, The Honeymoon Killers, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I'm just looking through these things, and the covers are just so good, and they're all on 5 for 30 quid on in HMV at the minute. And part of me's thinking, because of like the Now TV, Netflix stuff, I'm quite willing to sod off soon. The money that I'm saving there, I might just go for 5 films that I've not heard of and just delve into them and the commentaries and just not knowing quite what I'm going to get. But there's some awesome stuff on there. And I not only went through this display rack, but I went through all of the stacks looking for the Arrow Video logo so I could look at some of the other films. And there's one, I know earlier we were talking about stuff that make you titles that make you want to watch something. There's I presume a foreign, I don't know if it's a Western or whatever, but it's called $5 for an August Moon.
Okay,
I'll have that. We've got one called Nikatsu Diamond Guys, which is 3 films from like the 50s from Japan, 3 kung fu films. There's one I really like, the Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight films that Richard Linklater did. And I saw a film on there on the list called Waking Life, which I'd not seen, but apparently it's the same animator that Linklater would go on to work with A Scanner Darkly. And I was reading sort of the back of it, and it said that Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy play the same characters that they did in Before Sunrise. It's like, what? So yeah, I'm looking through all of these and like, oh, these are really good. But the one that's on my mind at the minute, and I'll send you some of the pictures to these because they are incredible. But there's a film called Contamination, and it says branded as a video nasty in the UK. Director Luigi Cozzi's Contamination takes the premise of Ridley Scott's classic Alien and peppers it with exploding guts galore and a dangerously infectious soundtrack from celebrated Italian prog rockers Goblin.
What?
That was the opening paragraph where it's like, I am going to see this film. It says, a cargo ship drifts up the Hudson River, its crew all dead. Their bodies horribly mutilated, turned inside out by an unknown force. Its freight, boxes upon boxes of glowing, pulsating green eggs. It soon becomes clear that these eggs are not of this planet, and someone intends to cultivate them here on Earth. But who, and to what end? Starring Italian horror veteran Ian McCulloch, brackets zombie flesh eaters. Contamination is an ultraviolet sci-fi epic that really gets under the skin. In space, no one can hear you scream, but on Earth, the terror rings loud and clear.
God, that's cool.
Honestly, I'm all over that, and I saw like the really cool cover to it. Again, I looked at the contents that they've got on there because obviously these are going for sort of £6 on Blu-ray, but there's high def transfers, feature commentary by filmmaker, Fangoria editor, and Contamination superfan Chris Alexander. They've got the Luigi Cozzi on the creation of Contamination and an archive documentary hosted by the director, including behind the scenes footage. 2014 Q&A with Cozzi and star Ian McCulloch. Sound of the Cyclops, Goblins, Maurizio Guarini on the music of Contamination. The Goblin keyboardist discusses Contamination's dark progressive rock score and a lifetime of making music for Italian terror. Again, that's wonderful. That fills my heart with joy. It says imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. A critical analysis of the Italian mockbusters trend of filmmaking, which sought to capitalise on the success of Hollywood blockbusters. And yeah, it's got a reversible sleeve in there as well with other artwork that's been newly commissioned. Plus a collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by Chris Alexander, illustrated with original archive stills and posters. That's all in a £6 Blu-ray.
Fucking hell.
Honestly, and I was looking down. All of these Blu-rays are the same on the back, where you're looking and you're going like, oh my gosh, they've got some Cronenberg films on there with loads of his commentaries on there. And I was just looking down, I'm going, this is exciting me about filmmaking. This is exciting me that there are films that I know nothing about, and I'm going into with absolutely no expectations whatsoever. But I'll read this again. Branded as a video nasty in the UK, director Luigi Cozzi's Contamination takes the premise of Ridley Scott's classic Alien and peppers it with exploding guts galore and a dangerously infectious soundtrack from celebrated Italian prog rockers Goblin.
I mean, why? That's a good sales pitch for a film.
That's all you need. And yeah, I'm all over this. So yeah, there are the Arrow films. Plus, there's on the recommendations thing that was on Amazon. There were loads of films like Logan's Run I haven't seen for ages. The Last Starfighter I used to love as a kid. Haven't seen that for ages. There was The Omega Man, where I read the original story when I was a kid and loved the book, and it was turned into I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Oh,
like,
I knew I'd heard of it. Okay.
Further down the line. And on a sort of Richard Matheson note, he'd done the script for a Vincent Price film that was one of the films that was there. I was like, oh yeah, I'll have me some of that. And it was the film where Vincent Price was turned into a leading man for it. What else was there? On Amazon there was a film called Soylent Green with Charlton Heston in, which is a sci-fi flick which seemed really bizarre. I've never seen
classic sci-fi thing, that isn't it?
Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it, but I know of it.
Yeah, but it's one of those where they've got they've got Blu-ray packages of Logan's Run, Soylent Green, and the Omega Man for £12.
Bloody hell.
I know. Again, it's one of those prices where you break it down and you go, I'll get my money's worth out of all of those films. Heck, I'd get my money's worth out of Logan's Run.
So how many did you buy?
Well, I'm gonna buy a few more because I get paid tomorrow, so I'm gonna buy a few more then. But there's Silent Running. Mark Commode's always gone on about what a great science fiction film is, and there's a really nice special edition with a booklet and loads of commentaries on and stuff that's knocking around. And yeah, it's nice to be excited about filmmaking again. And whilst again, this is a lead on from the tokusatsu stuff and the Japanese stuff that I've really been enjoying, it also ties back to when I first fell in love with films as a kid and the stuff that's informed my love of souls and comics and books and all of that kind of stuff. And it's nice to be this excited about it.
Content's fun again.
Yeah.
I'm in the same way at the minute. Like I'm sort of finding things and just enjoying consuming stuff rather than like consuming things because I feel like I have to because everyone else is. Like I'll just read what I want now.
I think that's it. I think it's breaking away from the hive mind a bit
and it's something without getting too much into video games. It's something the Chop Boys alluded to on their last show. You know, they said that they don't really cover like the current game that much. Do you think they should? I was like, no, never. Play what you want. You get more fun out of what you want to do rather than what everyone says you should.
Well, it's been nice as well. With you and I have obviously known each other for a while, and the connection is sort of mainly video games. But it's nice this feels to me like I know that side of you more than I've ever done because we've never really sat down and properly like nerded out about this sort of stuff.
We haven't, no. And for all the time we spent tonight, we could talk about the same amount of stuff for at least another 3 times as long, couldn't we? Easily.
Yes.
Easily.
Very, very much, because I've still got stuff on the back burner.
Speaking of the back burner, did you ask a question? Cause, that wasn't the smooth link that it seemed in my head.
No, it was good, because I hopped in there.
Good, yeah. Cut me off at the
So I put a question out very late on Twitter saying that we're recording this show. What's your favourite non-gaming thing at the moment? Movie, book, jumper, cake, place? It could be something you're looking forward to. I know this is late notice, but you're always bloody lovely with this stuff. So we did get a decent amount of replies. So thank you to everybody that jumped in on this, because it's always proper lovely.
We love you.
We do. Let me see. Bo Bryant at Dafter Than You on Twitter, which is a great name.
Good name.
Says rock climbing.
What?
Rock climbing.
Oh.
You see, this is where we get to know the audience in the same way as we've known one another tonight. This is neat. Let's press on.
Okay, next.
Philip Ers says, still over the moon about Bowie's final album.
Oh, wow. I've still not listened to it.
We've got another lead into this a little bit later, actually.
Okay.
Let me see. Shub Hansurath, Hands of Time on Twitter, says David Bowie has been for 23 years, so maybe that doesn't count. I wonder if Mr. Paddy likes his stuff too.
Well, I mean, that's where half my username comes from. So, yes. Yes. I've always liked Bowie. I've been playing Little Big Planet 3. Sorry about the games here, but I've been playing Little Big Planet 3 at the minute, and my guy does look like Bowie. My little sack person is Bowie right now. It's amazing.
I will add that Shub Hanzarath also says, also shrimps. Sorry for the double post. I will state as well that this is one of my quirks, that I can't eat shrimps because there's a part of me that refuses to eat anything that looks like it's snuggled. I just can't. I just can't.
Like, does that extend to like croissants as well? Like
croissants aren't.
They snuggle? Yeah, they curl around.
Could never go near a Nokia N-Gage. I had a neighbour that had one of those, and it just looked like he put a croissant up to his ear when it rang. It was fantastic. It looked like he was listening for the sea, not to another human conversation. So yeah, I shall press on.
Next tweet.
Josh Crow has sent us an email, which we'll go to into a moment.
If you've got it open, shall I be opening that while you're talking?
Yeah, you can read that one. I'll go through the Twitter stuff then.
Cool.
Soul of a Demon, Death Note, says the Japanese heavy metal J-pop hybrid Baby Metal Japan.
Oh.
The music is just getting me through everything at the moment. Also, I'm seeing them live at Wembley 2 days before Dark Souls 3.
What?
But what?
Bastard. No, Baby Metal are amazing. I love Baby Metal.
And they also have a new album on April the 1st. I've not heard them. I will check them out.
Oh, mate.
I'll do homework.
Baby Metal are the beast. They're amazing. It's J-pop, but it's J-pop you can listen to and not feel bad about yourself.
What?
Well, it's something me and Laura can both listen to, because I cannot stand like the J-pop stuff she usually listens to, but this is like J-pop, but there's like, you know, proper metal in the background as well. It's like, okay, I'm sold.
Let me see.
Next tweet.
Philip Hers returns.
Philip
and says, I just finished all of the existing Mistborn books by Brandon Sanderson. Fantastic, probably my favourite new fantasy series.
Oh.
I will write that down. I'll check those out.
Okay. Apparently, I literally saw on IO9 this evening before we were coming on. They are making that into a graphic novel, I think.
All right.
There's a comic coming from that, which is really cool. While we're on books, very quickly, I've read a couple recently that I like. I'll be very quick this time. By a guy called Mark Lawrence.
It's not about you.
No, I don't care. Books.
Your time's done.
Books. Mark Lawrence.
Ginger time done.
Prince of Thorns and King of Thorns. The first two books of the Thorns trilogy, I guess. I like my grim fantasy. You know, I like my J. Abercrombie books. They're very like that. They're very grim. They're told from the perspective of the main character as well. Like, they're told first person. Just really good, like, grim but clever sort of fantasy. With some really cool twists in the story. Very, very good to read if you like reading books about swords and wizards. But more kind of like Game of Thrones, but with more teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like that. That's good. I like it. Carry on.
Because I thought when you mentioned that on Twitter that you were meaning that there's a manga and an anime called King of Thorns about a group of people that wake up in the future and they don't realise they don't know why they've been sort of hibernating, but the world is overgrown, and I think there's like vampires or dinosaurs or something like that.
It's maybe not both. That. This is about necromancy and dream witches.
So both of your favourite things.
I like those things.
You do. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get a trophy in Dark Souls 2, and I'm just confronted by the Mad Warrior.
Are you playing the video games while we're trying to podcast?
I have occasionally delved into it because I've got to go through the Belfry. I've got to get up to level 2 in the Belfry, and apparently because nobody was spawning into NG++. Apparently, every now and again, the Mad Warrior spawns in. So I was reading these out, and I just glanced over into the corner. I got this kind of crazy fucker running at me. And I'm like, Phil, for time, you remember the other King of Thorn? Talk about that while you're running round a ballista.
Surprise, motherfucker!
So, but he's dead now. So,
good job.
On. The wonderful Peter Cleaves.
Cleaves.
P from Sony, as he's often known.
Yeah.
Says, I've just watched Sicario, which was an excellent thriller with Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro.
Okay.
Investigating the Mexican cartel.
I've heard of that.
Mark Commode said it's one of the best films of the year. Seeing as everyone is talking about VR at the moment, what non-gaming uses would you like to see in VR, if any? Ooh. Tourism, porn.
Tourism porn?
Yeah. Eiffel Tower looks like a robot's knob.
Oh, look, there's Marble Arch. Put the Eiffel Tower through it.
I just think it's hilarious that the big game for PlayStation VR is a Dreamcast title. It
fine.
makes me laugh.
Let's do this next time. Let's do that next time. For VR, that's not a game. I'd like to see like a movie, right? But it's all around you, and you can look around and like different things are happening. And if you kind of aren't looking, then you don't get that bit of the film. Like,
okay.
Do you know how like when things like skip around and there's lots of things happening at once? Like that. Like an episode of 24. Like there's things happening in different places and you can look around and look at the different scenes as you go, maybe. I don't know.
Like Time Crisis with no shooting.
Yes. That's it.
Wow. Living the dream.
Basically, you're watching 3 separate channels and you're just switching between them by turning your head.
Sione Boy says, I'm finally watching Breaking Bad. Very good stuff. Oddly, I have a craving for Kit Kat Junkies and the musical Les Miserables.
Right. Well, the Breaking Bad, I think I did that. I had to watch it on my own later when I got into it because people stopped, when all the hubbub had dried down. Then we watched it and then we enjoyed it.
Now, you see, I watched it up until the halfway point of season 5 where there was something so absolutely shit to get the thing into Endgame that it ironically took place on a toilet, and I didn't watch any more after that because it was so insulting.
I know the bit you mean.
Yeah,
I like that.
Rubbish.
It wasn't as clever as a lot of it, but I enjoyed that.
Rubbish.
Next.
Ryan Marek chimes in and says that Baby Metal is so good. Agreeing with Death Note and yourself.
It's it's so good.
Marvelous McMarvelous. Right, email time.
Okay.
Josh Chrome, I'll be beard.
I've opened up the email. It's a long one. Okay.
It's not that long.
It's medium.
It's juicy. It's a meatball sub.
Do you have a voice or should I just read it in normal voice?
Of course, read it in normal voice.
Good day there, Blue.
No. This is a law video.
Sorry, Josh. Wrecked in silence. Josh Crow of England writes, hello there, chaps. In answer to your latest question, there's a few things I've been enjoying that aren't game related, which is surprising considering they take up such a huge part of my life. Tell us about it, bro. Firstly, my lady friend and I have been blitzing through Lost. We got up to season 3 about a year ago and then just lost interest. Hardy ha, I made a dated pun in it, but we recently got back into watching it, and in 2 weeks we've done seasons 3, 4 and 5, and we'll have season 6 by the time you've read this. Wow. So, and we asked this question, and 2 hours later we recorded. That's good.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it too. It's got great, rich characters and a convoluted story that only J.J. Abrams could do justice. The overarching story has a tendency to drag a tad, but it's still been a hell of a ride. I'm glad we finally managed to actually watch it all the way through. Still not as good as Dexter, but very good nonetheless. Did you watch Lost? I didn't get on with Lost.
I watched a few episodes, but didn't really see any more of that. I watched the first 3 seasons of Dexter and quite enjoyed that. Okay. Although I realised apparently it jumps the shark quite massively towards the end.
So I watched like 2 episodes of Lost. Missed a couple when it was on TV, and because catch up didn't exist back then, I was like, if you're gonna watch it, you watch it in order. So we just kind of never went back.
I think that's going back to the film stuff that we were talking about earlier, and probably when I saw 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Like if a film left the cinema, you wouldn't see it again. You just have those memories, and like when it came back on the cinema, that was quite exciting. But you also had A and B pictures as well. You'd have double bills, but you might have. Say for example, like the new Superman film might be coming on, or like Superman the motion picture, or whatever. But you might have an old film on before it, so you might have like a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea before it. But A and B pictures were a thing.
Cool.
There we go.
There you go.
Carry on.
Josh continues. Secondly, I have been reading a book called The Ballad of Black Tom, which is a heavily H.P. Lovecraft-inspired novella. So much that it even crosses the line by shamelessly taking characters directly from a particular Lovecraft story and placing them in this one, which gives me the impression that there is some sort of unofficial prequel to that story. Wow, this is fanfic. It's a bit strange seeing these characters being written into a story that's not written by Lovecraft, and you can certainly tell the author likes to wear his influences on his sleeve. If this were a full-blown novel, it would be difficult to forgive its rip-off nature. But as a short story, the rating is such that you can swallow that pill and think of it as a self-contained story. I would recommend it as it can be easily read in a day. In a day? Yeah. I've not read any Lovecraft. Have you?
No, me neither. Well, I didn't really get into... Is that what Bloodborne lifts a bit from? Or am I
yeah, a bit,
thinking
yeah.
something else?
More SpongeBob than Lovecraft, but...
Of course. I didn't get into it, so you might be telling the truth. I know you're not.
Who knows?
Carry on.
Who knows? Thirdly, a band named Planet of Zeus. That's fucking brilliant name, right? This band is another that has very clear influences because their musical style is that of American deep southern rock. But if the band themselves hadn't told me, I would never have guessed that they're from Athens.
Okay.
They rock the bubble that is my world, and I have a lot of time for this band. The music is made by sweaty bearded men for sweaty bearded men, and I'm completely in love with their tunes. I'm intrigued. I'm looking that up when we're finished.
Yeah, that seems like a very you thing in particular, I think.
If they were a little bit prog, then that would be me done. But yeah, cool. Okay, and final paragraph. Josh finishes. Lastly, I am thoroughly enjoying being a part of the community surrounding Dark Souls. I deliberately gave up Facebook to become, for lack of a better term, a full-blown tweeter, because Facebook would always drag me down to such a miserable existence. But Twitter and the folk who inhabit it, present company included, thank you very much, have really embraced me and helped restore my humanity. You guys are all amazing people with open minds and warm hearts, and even though it's more of an entity than an inanimate object, I enjoy the community as much as I enjoy everything else I've listed. It genuinely makes me very happy to be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to the laughs this episode will provide. Well, if you could have seen that word that CJ showed me at the start,
yeah. Obviously, I was just quoting, but was in fear of it also.
It's been looking at me on the Skype chat
today
the entire time.
At the deadliness of tomorrow. Although I did see, like, there was a... I know this is kind of touching into game, but I think generally they... I like Twitter, but I think the Souls community, we've met some good people.
Oh god, yeah.
Through that, and we've made some good friends and stuff.
And we've met Jeremy Greer.
Yeah.
We love you. We're sorry.
So last episode of the podcast, then.
Yeah.
But there was a journalist that was saying that the worst thing about Dark Souls is its community, which I just thought was really kind of a bit weird.
We can touch on that on the next Twin Humanities, can't we?
Yeah.
There you go. There's your breadcrumb. Josh finishes. Keep doing what you're doing so well. The community is something to be truly proud of. Praise the sun.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. And click. Good email, Josh. Thank you. It was a long one, but that's fine. Yeah. You should see the size of the DMs I've been sending the Chomp Chain podcast. It's really not a problem.
I've really enjoyed tonight's natter.
It's been great. This has been 2 hours of fun.
It's been good. Lots of crossover, and it feels like I say, I know that side of you a little better, and it's nice that within our friendship, there are so many. I suppose it's been there in the games that we play as well. That there'll often be similarities with things that we get into, but we get into different stuff.
We almost like the same stuff.
Like you'll do Shadows of Mordor, and I'll do Unity, and we're on the same page, but sort of different paragraphs sometimes. But I like that. But it's interesting that there's so much crossover in not only the stuff that forged our formative years and our love of this stuff in the first place, but also in the modern day, that the things that are exciting us are those that are a little left of centre again, and there's crossover between them. So that's really neat.
And speaking of left of centre, on the next one of these shows we're doing, I will bring a full report from Video Games Live, which I'm going to at the weekend.
All right, cool.
The orchestra that go and play video game music's up in London, and hopefully going to try and bump into Josh Garrity up there as well.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, and Death Note as well. He's around there too. So I'm going to try and bump into people and glad hand with the reels.
Wow.
Because the community's... This is the community again. You people are so nice. I can't wait to meet you.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
But yeah, I've enjoyed this a lot. I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. Please share it with people. Apparently reviews on places like Podomatic and iTunes and things. Apparently they do wonders if you have access to those things and can be asked please do. If not, we understand. Put the kettle on.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. I'm going to go read comics now. What are you going to do?
I am probably going to cycle round this a little more, or put maybe the Division on. I don't know.
Cycle around what?
I did that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going for a fucking bike ride.
No, Belfry song. I'm desperate. I'm so close to getting like 100%, and I got 8 things written down on a piece of paper, and I scratched off 2 of them earlier.
Oh,
so
it's all right.
Yeah, and some of these are going to be quite hard to get. But,
yeah,
we'll see progress, but that'll come up in a future Twin Humanities where we already have a really cool guest. So
we've done a 10-minute ending, haven't we?
Yeah, maybe 2 guests. We'll see.
What?
Good word. I know. Right then, goodbye to you.
Should we twat off?
Paddy.
Bye.
That I refer to you. I refer you to that thing that I wrote on Skype earlier, which I couldn't say.
Back at you, you thing on Skype, which we can't say out loud.
Right. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.